Greetings, YouTube. One of the things I hear a lot, particularly when someone from an older generation, which is getting to be a narrower band as I get older, um, says something inappropriate in public, is that they'll say, well, they come from a different generation. And so that generational shift, the concept that what was acceptable, say, 50 years ago is not acceptable now, is a common narrative trope you find in these discussions. And I've been listening to it for a really long time. I mean, even as a kid, even when I was inadvertently supporting white supremacy through, my casual racism because didn't understand what I was doing and saying and the acts I was committing, um, I understood that the overt varieties of racism weren't acceptable and had never been acceptable. So I always kind of scratched my head that, you used the N-word, in 1974. It was still considered bad in, 1934 or 1924. It just was more common. There was more people saying it. That didn't make it right. So now when I'm hearing that same argument, of generational shift, and it's the year 2021, it stinks to high heaven. It is bull, folks. And I'm using the N-word here as an example because it's one of the most egregious examples you can bring up in the modern era. You'll hear about it sometimes, like someone will on a video chat or while playing a video game or it's recorded in a live stream, recorded using the N-word. No one uses that word casually unless they're a racist. Okay? And I'm talking about white folks here. How the black community deals with that particular word is up to each individual person within the black community. I know people in the black community that will never use that word, and I know people in the black community that use it casually, and that's fine. That's up to them. I do not policing their language or their attitude towards that word. But among white people, nah, don't use that word. Not under any circumstances. And if you let it slip, that's bullshit. You're a racist. You're just been successful at hiding the fact that you're a racist until that moment. Because I have, even in my deepest, darkest angers, rage so encompassing that it terrifies me. I have not let that slip because it's not a word in my lexicon. I don't ever think it because it is anathema to like the core beliefs I carry. So when I hear people talking about getting upset because, well, how, like, for example, the Me Too movement and all these guys upset that, that they're being called out for their casual comments about sexist comments or their casual sexual harassment because they're touching women. It's always been inappropriate for you to be touching women. Always. Whether it was the 19th century or the 21st century, unless you have someone's permission to touch them, don't touch them. Don't think that it's a generational shift. It's just that today people are more open about looking at you and telling you, don't touch me. And that upsets lots of dudes because they're like, oh, well, it was acceptable when I was younger. No, it wasn't. It wasn't acceptable. It just was more common. And the people that you were abusing didn't have the power and the voice to speak for themselves because of societal pressure. It's not like there are more gay people now than there were. No, there are people who at one time would have suppressed who they are for fear of death, who can now be open about it because the world is a slightly better place. I say slightly because I live in the 21st century America. It's not like there's more trans people in the world now than there used to be. It's just now people are speaking about it more openly, and those who lived in the shadows because they could not be their true selves have come to understand that there are people out there that are willing to listen. Yes, there are people out there who are horrible bigots. J.K. Rowling comes to mind right off the top. But there are enough of us who are willing to listen and accept them for who they are. So that's why they come forward. That's why you see more of them. They've always been there. It's just now they realize that there are people willing to listen. And we have the internet to help one of the reasons to help for that reason, for that cause, because people can now connect to each other in communities in a way they couldn't in the past. Instead of being, a million isolated people, now those people can find each other and support each other. Unfortunately, it also means the bigots can find each other and support each other. And using anonymity, they can be horrible to other people. But don't for a second think that just because you're 50 and older, that what you did when you were a teenager or in your 30s was acceptable, because it wasn't. It wasn't acceptable when you did it back then. It isn't acceptable now. Your casual racism and misogyny and homophobia and transphobia and racism and anti-Semitism, it was ugly and horrible, and nobody wanted ever to see it 50 years ago or 30 years ago or last month. And they don't want to see it now. If you think it, go ahead. Be a bigot inside your own head. You have my sympathy. I would recommend going to see a cognitive behavior therapist. But keep your mouth shut. Don't say bigoted things. Don't commit bigoted actions. Don't impose your bigoted worldview onto anybody else. It wasn't right 50 years ago. It isn't right now. Stop using that bullshit excuse.